Hello, welcome to the basic introduction to object-oriented programming in C#. In this tutorial, we're gonna talk about classes, objects, constructors, and inheritance. Feel free to pause and rewatch certain parts of the video, as the concepts presented might be difficult to understand at first, but we hope we'll make it as easy as possible for you to understand. First, we'll explain classes and objects. We'll tell you about attributes and methods, creating some examples, which we will modify. Then, we'll move on to some more complex knowledge while introducing constructors. At the end, you will be introduced to inheritance of classes, attributes, and methods, which we will override and modify. So, what is a class? Think of it as a blueprint from which objects are created. It is like a template. On the screen, you can see two windows. On the left, you can see programming environment. It is linked to the class diagram, so when we add some code, the visualization of it will appear on the diagram. Let's define our class using C#. Now we add the name, person. Then we declare attributes. Think of the typical characteristics of the person. We will add name, height, hair color, and emotion. Now we will add some methods. Think of the things you can do as a person. In our case, we will add walking and waving. As you can see, we added attributes and methods. Let's talk a little bit more about them. A class attribute is a variable that belongs to a certain class, which means that every instance of this class shares the same variable. For example, every person has a name, emotion, height, or hair color. A method is an action which an object is able to perform. Each object of this class can call the method. When a caller invokes the method, it provides concrete values, called arguments, for each parameter. On the screen, you can see some examples of the methods, such as walking or waving, which we added to our person in the previous code. Now I think we are ready to introduce objects. We already know that a class is a blueprint, therefore the object is a thing that is built using that blueprint. It's a specific instance of the class with its own data. Let's create an object using the class person we created before. Look what happens when we'll set its attributes. His hair will be red, he will be 1.8 meters tall, and his emotion will be angry. Do you see how the object has changed? Now let's set its name back to Emilia, her hair color to black, her height to 1.5 meter tall, and her emotion to happy. Our person needs some methods. Let's make Emilia walk and wave. Now, we will add constructors to make the creation of objects quicker. A constructor is a special class method that is called every time an instance of the class is made. A constructor, like a method, has a group of instructions that are run every time when an object is made. It's used to set the values for objects of the same class. Have a look of how it looks like in a code. Congrats! You've just learned the basics of object-oriented programming. Now, let's focus on some more challenging stuff. It's time to talk about inheritance. Inheritance is one of the core features of object-oriented programming. It's a procedure that allows us to reuse code by referring the behaviors and data of an object. In other words, a class that inherits from another class shares all the attributes and methods of the referenced class. Let's say we created a class called Animal. It already has attributes name, description, age, and methods move and eat. While creating the class Cat, when we want to use the same methods and attributes as Animal, we don't need to add them from the beginning. Our class Cat will inherit its structure from the class Animal, and the only thing we will add is a fur color. Now, let's say we want to create a class called fish. It will inherit its attributes name, description, age, and methods move and eat from the class animal. However, we want to add attributes scales color and is eating meat. We will also modify the method move to specify that it is swimming. Have a look at how we code it in C#. Notice how the move method is overridden in the class fish.